Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Bard here, or you can call me Sully. On January 27th, 2021, Cloris Leachman had passed away at the age of 94, and has starred in such shows and movies like The Mary Tyler Moore Show, The Muppet Movie, Castle in the Sky, The Facts of Life, and a few Mel Brooks films, such as The History of the World Part 1 and Young Frankenstein. And as part of the course, whenever a well-known celebrity dies, I would make a tribute video to them. So, anyone figures to review a movie that stars Cloris Leachman, but also one that people are aware of, especially within the past few months. Since The Croods: A New Age, which is Leachman's final role, is available to own on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital, after being released in theaters and on streaming, there's no better film to go over than the one that preceded it. It's the original DreamWorks animated film to star Cloris Leachman in a supporting role in 2013. The Croods. A family of cavemen called the Croods are the last cave people living, and spent their lives living in a cave. Yet despite them going out only to hunt for food, namely eggs, everything else from venturing out alone to being curious is considered bad. And one cave girl, named Eep, has been wanting to live outside the cave from her family, while her father, Grug, has been keeping the family safe with his rules, and even tells stories that all end with the character dead. Yet one night, Eep sees a light coming from outside the cave, and she goes out to find some fire burning on a stick. She soon notices what looks like a warthog and prepares to crush it, only to see that it was a boy named Guy, with a baby sloth named Belt. Guy said he made the fire, but also says the world is ending, and gave Eep a shell to call him if she's in danger. Grug then finds Eep and brings her back to the family, and no one believes what she encountered, or what the shell does. But a giant earthquake destroys their cave, yet opens up a new and colorful land full of trees, various creatures, and more. And while Grug leads his family in finding a new cave to hide in, they encounter more dangerous animals, to which Eep calls for Guy's help, and he saves Eep and her family. Soon Guy's journey along with the Croods, and eventually helps out the cave family by taking them to a place called Tomorrow, and also helps them out in discovering new things, trying out new stuff, and having better leadership skills than Grug, who starts to feel left out and angry when his family, including Eep, like Guy more. Now this movie, which to me sounds more like a comic strip about a caveman family than a movie, does offer plenty of alright stuff. Yet the way it's all told and how the characters are portrayed, that's a different one. And by that I mean it's weak. That's not to say that they're bad, I just felt like some things are missing or needed mentioning. I get why Eep wants to not spend all day and night in a cave, not just because of the typical teen trope of family embarrassment or wanting to be on her own, but because she has grown past being a stereotypical cave person, aside from being curious every now and then. Yet her family hasn't. And where the movie seemed to be focused on Eep, it really seems to be focused on her father Grug, who, in my opinion, is one of the main problems. His goal in this movie is to keep his family safe from the dangers outside. But why exactly? It's barely mentioned. Sure, it's like a parental instinction, and he does not want the family to die, as other caveman family had died as explained in the opening, yet it doesn't seem likely because he would rather have Gran, his mother-in-law, be dead than the rest of his family, and that is one of the running gags of this film. It would have been better if more of Grug's character was explained, like maybe his parents went through the same thing as he was doing, or maybe he's too scared of the wildlife as it's something from his childhood, or maybe mention the other caveman family from the opening, who are never brought up anywhere else, and are immediately forgotten as they are mentioned, because Grug's own reasonings for this film aren't enough for me to care. But his reasons for hating Guy are understandable enough, as he's a better role model for the Croods than Grug is. However, there's one other thing that bugs me about this cave family. Grug would tell a story that always ends with the character, usually a female animal, dead. And it's pretty obvious and clear that the animal in question is Eep, and what the animal does is exactly what Eep does. But the thing is, despite the family learning lessons of the story in the most backwards way possible, They never once catch on that all the stories are all about Eep, and however long they've been together, and only Eep is tired of listening to the stories, as she's grown out of it. And for how long the family sticks together, they never knew what a hug is or any other simple terms that would make them grow as a healthy, helpful, and happy family. And one of the jokes involved them arguing so loud that it upsets the wildlife from miles away, and not once is it funny. True, the family starts to get smarter as the film moves on thanks to Guy, while Grug remains the same, even with the stuff he does backfires on him. But for like the first 2/3, this family, for being cave people, makes them, aside from Eep, be pretty dumb, stereotypical, and crude. Oh wait, now I get the title. Yet that's not all I have issues with. The one wild animal that stalks the Croods in the beginning doesn't make a return to be a potential main threat. The end of the world plot becomes more forgotten and doesn't make a big point until the climax, and even then is pointless by the end. The climax of the film isn't exciting enough, and in comparison to the sequel, the facial designs and expressions of the characters aren't fun to look at. Now with me saying all of this, I don't exactly hate this film, for there's still stuff in this that I found to be alright. The look of the world outside is colorful and bright, the designs of the creatures look amazing, and there are times where the comedy is funny. Like when Grug tries to scare a monkey, the monkey punches Grug, and then other monkeys start to punch him as his son Thunk encourages him. That got a big laugh from me when I first saw it, and it still does a little. And I even like how one of the shots in this film ended up becoming the first poster for the movie. And the actors who voiced their characters did a decent enough job. Nicolas Cage voices Grug, Emma Stone voices Eep, Ryan Reynolds voices Guy, Catherine Keener voices Aga, Clark Duke voices Thunk, Chris Sanders voices Belt, and the late Cloris Leachman voices Gran. As a whole, this movie is alright. The characters are fine, the story, while okay, doesn't seem finished, and the animation is quite colorful from time to time. Directors Chris Sanders and Kirk Namago have made an almost decent film with a few good gags, creative creatures, and the idea of a caveman family learning to live and try something new isn't a bad one. But there needed to be more development with the characters, especially Grug, with more reasons than just worrying about his family. And on top of that, it felt rather dumb to not exactly have the cave family catch on to certain situations, even with having spent years together. It isn't a bad DreamWorks movie, but it's better than all of the How to Train Your Dragon movies, which also began with the same director. I still think the sequel is better for being more colorful, more imaginative, more silly, yet also more interesting with the setup. Yet the original, to me, isn't quite that. It's fine for what it tried to do, but it didn't come through in the end. So today, this movie began a rating of 2.5 mixed stars. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and see you next time for a new video. And now if you excuse me, I am going to check the local news of today. Really? Christopher Plummer died just over a week after Cloris Leachman? What's this world coming to? I suppose it'd be good to do another tribute video, but now just of him. But what should it be exactly? I got it! Next week, I'll be reviewing